I don't see your booking here. Danielle tilted her head slightly. It's right there on the email, with your hotel's confirmation number. Clara didn't even glance at the paper. I'm sorry, but sometimes these third-party sites make mistakes. Mistakes. That was the word people like Clara used when they didn't want to admit their bias. The line behind Danielle began to grow. Couple looked impatient. The bellboy shifted awkwardly. Danielle kept her composure. That's okay. Could you double-check? I can even pull up the confirmation on my phone. But Clara had already decided. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. I'm sorry, but I can't verify this booking. And without proper identification, I can't allow you to stay here tonight. Danielle blinked. I just gave you my ID. Clara's smile didn't move. We have certain standards, and our executive suites are reserved for business travelers. Are you sure you didn't mean to book the Silver Crest Inn down the road? Everyone around the lobby could hear the tone. Danielle wasn't mistaken. She wasn't at the wrong place. But Clara was making sure she felt like she was. Danielle straightened. I understand, but I think there's a misunderstanding here. I'm willing to wait while you verify. Clara crossed her arms. Ma'am, we have other guests to assist. Please step aside. Her voice had changed louder, clipped. The kind of tone that says this isn't your space. She wasn't loud. She wasn't rude. She wasn't even asking for much, just the room she'd already paid for. But within minutes of walking into that polished, chandelier-lit lobby, everything went wrong. The manager looked at her, really looked, and made a decision that would cost her everything. By the end of the night, that same woman the manager kicked out in front of guests, the one she humiliated and called unprofessional, would reveal her real identity. She wasn't just a guest. She was the regional inspector sent to evaluate the hotel's operations. And what happened next? It became one of the most talked about investigations in the company's history. But before we get there, if this is your first time on our channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because we tell true-to-life stories that reveal the unseen side of human behavior. Stories that make you think, feel, and see the world differently. Now, let's begin. She was dressed neatly, black slacks, a light beige blouse, minimal makeup, the kind of look that said she took pride in details. To everyone else, she was just another weary traveler checking in after a long business flight. But only Danielle knew the truth. She was here undercover, sent by the company's board to evaluate one of their top-performing hotels. No one in the building, not even corporate, knew the exact date she'd arrive. That was part of the test. Her job was simple. Evaluate how the staff treated guests, all guests. No scripts, no second chances. She scanned the lobby, polished floors, scented candles, classical music faint in the background. Everything looked perfect, until she reached the front desk. Behind the counter stood Clara Whitmore, the hotel's manager. Mid-40s, perfectly coiffed blonde hair, navy blazer sharp enough to cut glass. Clara prided herself on running a 5-star experience. But what she didn't realize was that she was about to face her real test. Danielle, good afternoon. I have a reservation under the name Danielle Price. Clara glanced up from her screen. Her smile froze halfway. Aha, she said, eyes flicking up and down Danielle's figure. And you're sure it's here at Silver Crest? Yes, Danielle replied calmly, sliding her confirmation email across the counter. Booked 2 weeks ago. Executive suite. Clara sighed. One of those long, exaggerated sighs that said you're already inconveniencing me. Let's see. She typed slowly, nails clicking on the keyboard. Her lips tightened. I don't see your booking here. Danielle tilted her head slightly. It's right there on the email, with your hotel's confirmation number. Clara didn't even glance at the paper. I'm sorry, but sometimes these third-party sites make mistakes. Mistakes. That was the word people like Clara used when they didn't want to admit their bias. The line behind Danielle began to grow. Couple looked impatient. The bellboy shifted awkwardly. Danielle kept her composure. That's okay. Could you double-check? I can even pull up the confirmation on my phone. But Clara had already decided. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. I'm sorry, but I can't verify this booking. And without proper identification, I can't allow you to stay here tonight. Danielle blinked. I just gave you my ID. Clara's smile didn't move. We have certain standards, and our executive suites are reserved for business travelers. Are you sure you didn't mean to book the Silver Crest Inn down the road? Everyone around the lobby could hear the tone. Danielle wasn't mistaken. She wasn't at the wrong place, but Clara was making sure she felt like she was. Danielle straightened. I understand, but I think there's a misunderstanding here. I'm willing to wait while you verify. Clara crossed her arms. Ma'am, we have other guests to assist. Please step aside. Her voice had changed louder, clipped, the kind of tone that says this isn't your space. Guests turned to look. A man in a suit raised an eyebrow. Danielle's jaw tightened, but her voice stayed calm. Is there someone else I can speak with? Perhaps your assistant manager. Clara smirked. You're speaking to the highest authority here, and if you can't provide valid proof of your stay, I'll have to ask you to leave. The security guard at the corner shifted his weight, sensing where this was going. It wasn't about a reservation anymore. It was about control. In that moment, Clara wasn't just rejecting a booking. She was rejecting her presence. And the irony? The very thing she thought would make her look professional would soon expose her as anything but. The guard stepped closer. Is there a problem, ma'am? Clara pointed at Danielle. Yes, this guest refuses to comply with hotel policy. Please escort her out. Danielle's eyes widened, not in fear, but in disbelief. You're evicting me? Without even verifying my booking? Clara smiled tightly. You're free to try another hotel. Ms. Price, was it? The guard motioned toward the exit. Guests whispered. A couple filmed quietly on their phones. Danielle gathered her bag slowly. Her voice was steady. Don't worry, you'll see me again sooner than you think. She turned and walked out. Rain pouring outside, reflection of the neon hotel sign flickering against the wet pavement. And Clara? She thought she'd handled the situation perfectly. She even joked about it to her staff later that night. Some people just don't belong in certain spaces, she'd said. But the next morning, her words would come back to destroy everything she'd built. The following day at 10 a.m., a black SUV pulled into the Silver Crest driveway. Out stepped two corporate representatives, Mr. Alvarez and Danielle Price, now dressed in a sharp black blazer, company badge clipped to her lapel. The receptionist froze. Clara's morning coffee nearly slipped from her hand. Good morning, Danielle said evenly. We're here for a scheduled internal review. I believe you were notified last month. Clara's face drained of color. Wait, you're? Yes, Danielle replied with a faint smile. Danielle Price, Regional Quality and Compliance Inspector for Silver Crest Hospitality Group. The silence that followed was deafening. What came next, the interviews, the footage, the staff testimonies, would unravel every polished lie the manager had built her career on. Clara had passed every audit before, but this time she failed the one that mattered most, the human test. Before she ever stepped into that hotel lobby, before the name Danielle Price carried the weight of an inspector's badge, she was just a girl who believed that hard work could change everything. That belief started in a small apartment on the east side of Atlanta, a two-bedroom unit that smelled faintly of laundry detergent and dreams too big for the walls that held them. Danielle was raised by her mother, Lydia Price, a single parent who worked double shifts as a hotel housekeeper. Every morning, Danielle would wake up to the sound of her mother's alarm at 4:30 a.m., the same worn-out ringtone that meant another long day ahead. And every evening, when Lydia came home, she smelled of cleaning agents and fatigue, but she never complained. One night, when Danielle was about 10, she found her mother sitting quietly at the kitchen table, hands red from scrubbing. A pay stub lay on the table beside a pile of overdue bills. Danielle asked softly, Mama, why do you do it? Why do you keep working there when they don't even say thank you? Lydia smiled wearily. Because, baby, respect isn't something you're given in this world. It's something you teach people to give you, one act of excellence at a time. Those words never left her. At 19, Danielle got her first hotel job. Not because she needed a summer gig, but because she wanted to see the world her mother talked about. She started as a front desk associate at a mid-tier hotel downtown. Bright smile, perfect posture, always eager to help. But it didn't take long for her to see what her mother had meant. She remembered the first time a guest walked right past her to speak to her white coworker, even though Danielle was standing at the same desk. She remembered the manager who complimented her smile but never her ideas. She remembered the way people's attitudes shifted, how their eyes would scan her hair, her skin, her clothes, as though she didn't quite belong behind that marble counter. Still, Danielle stayed. She learned everything: check-ins, systems, bookings, conflict resolution. She became so good that guests began asking for her by name. And one afternoon, when the regional director visited unexpectedly, he noticed her professionalism and calm under pressure. A month later, Danielle was promoted to guest relations supervisor. It should have been her moment of victory, but it came with a new kind of scrutiny. Now she was the young black woman who got lucky. Her colleagues whispered that she was a diversity hire, but instead of fighting back, Danielle worked harder. She studied hospitality law, customer psychology, and compliance standards late into the night. While others partied, she learned the fine print of what made a five-star hotel truly five-star. Not the marble floors or gold accents, but how people were treated when no one was watching. One rainy evening, a woman in her late 50s walked into the hotel lobby where Danielle worked. She was drenched, shivering, and clearly lost. The night manager, a man named Jeff, frowned. "She's not a paying guest," he whispered. "Just get her out before corporate sees." But Danielle couldn't. She walked over, offered the woman a towel, and guided her to the lounge. She brought her tea, asked where she'd come from, and called her daughter, who'd been frantically searching for her for hours. It turned out the woman had early dementia and had wandered away from a nearby facility. The next morning, Danielle was called into the office. Jeff was fuming. "You disobeyed a direct order." But later that week, corporate received a handwritten letter from the woman's daughter, praising Danielle's kindness and saying, "You didn't just save my mother, you saved my faith in humanity." That letter changed everything. Corporate used it as an example during their quarterly meeting. Danielle's empathy had become a case study in genuine hospitality. Months later, she was offered a new position, Regional Compliance Inspector for Silvercrest Hospitality Group. Her role? To travel anonymously to various branches, assess guest treatment, and ensure that every guest, regardless of who they were, received the same level of respect her mother once dreamed of giving and receiving. In the weeks that followed, Silvercrest underwent mandatory training, diversity workshops, ethics audits, employee-led guest advocacy sessions, and the new motto carved beneath the hotel's golden logo read, "Every guest deserves grace." Danielle smiled the day she returned for a follow-up review. The same bellhop greeted her warmly. Amelia, the receptionist, offered her coffee, free of charge, no hesitation. It was a small victory, but one that meant everything. Because respect isn't born in luxury, it's born in humility. And sometimes, it takes one act of courage to remind an entire system what humanity looks like. Sometimes justice doesn't arrive with thunder. Sometimes, it comes quietly, in policy changes, in awareness, in the subtle shifting of hearts that once refused to see. That's how it was for the Silvercrest Hotel. The incident that began with humiliation ended with transformation. But that transformation didn't happen overnight. It began with one thing: the truth getting out. A week after the inspection, an anonymous employee, someone who had witnessed everything, uploaded a short clip of the security footage online. The title was simple: "Hotel Manager Evicts Black Guest," without knowing who she really was. Within hours, the clip spread like wildfire. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, millions of views, thousands of comments. Some called it unbelievable. Others said it was all too familiar. This happens every day. She handled that with so much grace. That manager's face when she found out who the guest really was, priceless. News outlets picked it up next. CNN, Good Morning America, BuzzFeed, all ran the story, calling it a lesson in modern hospitality. The hotel chain released a public statement. We do not tolerate discrimination in any form. The individual involved has been terminated, and new training programs have been launched to ensure every guest receives the respect they deserve. But it wasn't the corporation that people celebrated. It was her, Danielle Price, the woman who stayed calm when it would have been easier to fight. The woman who chose dignity over rage, justice over vengeance. Danielle never meant to go viral, but when reporters found her LinkedIn profile, the messages began flooding in. Thank you for standing up without yelling. My mom went through something similar at a hotel once. You gave her closure. You're the reason I'll speak up next time I see it happen. She didn't respond to most of them. Instead, she sat quietly in her office weeks later, reading the words over and over, feeling the weight of what one night had turned into. Her supervisor, Mr. Alvarez, stopped by her desk one morning. He smiled. You've become somewhat of a symbol, Danielle. Corporate wants to feature you in a diversity and ethics campaign, not as an employee, but as the voice of the new standard. She laughed softly. I didn't plan for this. I know, he said. That's why it matters. 2 months later, Danielle returned home to Atlanta to visit her mother. Same old apartment. Same smell of laundry detergent and freshly brewed coffee. Lydia opened the door, her eyes lighting up. There's my girl. Danielle hugged her tightly. They sat together at the small kitchen table, the same one Danielle had done homework on as a child, the same one where Lydia used to sort bills with trembling hands. Lydia smiled proudly. I saw your face on the news. I didn't even know you were inspecting hotels now. Danielle chuckled. I was trying to keep it quiet. Didn't exactly go as planned. Her mother squeezed her hand. Baby, I used to pray that someone like you would walk into those hotels. Someone who'd make them see us. You did that. Danielle's eyes filled with tears. I just wanted them to treat people right. That's the thing about doing right, Lydia said softly. You never know how far it'll go. They sat there for a while, silent but full. Sometimes victory doesn't look like applause. Sometimes it looks like peace. 3 months later, Danielle returned to the Silvercrest branch for one last inspection. The lobby was different now, not in appearance but in energy. A diverse team stood behind the desk. Smiles that felt genuine. Staff who made eye contact and greeted everyone. Amelia, the receptionist who had once stayed silent, now led the morning briefing on inclusive guest experience. Luis, the janitor, was promoted to facilities coordinator. When he saw Danielle walk in, he grinned. Ms. Price, we've been expecting you. She laughed softly. Hopefully not for the same reason as last time. Definitely not, he said proudly. Things are different now. And they were. Danielle conducted her inspection quietly, taking notes, not as a critic, but as someone witnessing growth. Before leaving, she paused at the front desk and said, You've turned this place around. Keep it that way. Amelia nodded, smiling with pride. We will. You reminded us what hospitality really means. That's the thing about change. It often starts with discomfort, but ends with awareness. And awareness, once gained, can't be undone. A few weeks later, Danielle was invited to speak at the National Hospitality Summit in Chicago. The hall was full, executives, hotel owners, service staff from around the country. She walked to the podium in a black dress, calm and confident. My name is Danielle Price, she began, and I've spent years working behind the scenes of the hospitality industry. I've seen the best and the worst of how we treat people. The room was silent. Hospitality isn't about chandeliers or fine wine. It's about humanity. It's about the way we look at someone and decide, in 1 second, whether they belong. She paused. That decision, conscious or not, defines who we are. She looked across the crowd, eyes steady. I was once told that respect has to be taught, but I've learned that respect is also a mirror. The way you treat others reflects the truth of who you are. The audience rose to their feet. Applause filled the room. And for the first time in a long time, Danielle allowed herself to smile fully. Not because she'd won, but because she'd helped others see. Later that night, she stood by her hotel window, city lights glowing below. Her phone buzzed, another message. This one was from Amelia. I wanted you to know, the staff started a mentorship program for new hires. We call it the Grace Standard. Inspired by you. Danielle smiled to herself. Sometimes you don't need revenge. You just need results. She closed her laptop, turned off the lights, and whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude. For her mother, for her journey, for every closed door that pushed her toward purpose. The rain began to fall outside, just like that first night. But this time, she wasn't standing in it. She was standing above it, watching it wash the city clean. In a world where judgment is quick and compassion is rare, stories like Danielle's remind us of something simple yet powerful. You never know who you're talking to. You never know whose life you're shaping. So treat everyone, like they belong. Because the greatest test of character isn't how you treat the powerful, it's how you treat the powerless. And sometimes the person you dismiss might just be the one sent to evaluate you. If the story moved you, don't just scroll. Hit that like button and share this story with someone who needs to be reminded that respect is the real luxury. Until next time, stay kind, stay aware, and remember, every story has two sides.